How many of you have been told humility equals silence? Put your head down, let your work speak for itself, and don't say anything because you don't want to really ruffle any feathers. Well, I'm here to ruffle the feathers and break it to you, my sister. Humility, that's not silence. That's called fear. You've bought into the stereotype once again. And it's up to me as your authentic power strategist to break this down for you. Okay. Humility is not going to get you seen, heard, and valued, yet you're complaining about it. No one sees me, no one hears me, no one values me. We're going to break that down. So tune in. I got some information for you, and you're going to want to take notes. So you want to be the virtuous woman. You want to be seen as someone who's amazing and good at what you do, but you've been lied to. You've been told that you had to be silent. And as a result, you aren't getting what it is that you want or deserve. Yet you're mad because you see everybody taking advantage of you because you're the one who keeps just doing it over and over and over again. And I need to break this to you. You think you're being humble, but what you're choosing is silence for fear of being judged. You're fearful because if you take up too much space, if you put your foot down and say, this is not the way that it's going to be, this is how it's going to be, that people won't like you, that people will turn away from you, or worse yet, that you'll get fired, all the things that you've made up in your head, it's all lies, all lies. That has nothing to do with humility. So today what I want to do is I want to break this down for you. This is what we actually teach within our Rise 53 Inner Circle. Our Director of Communications, Yanaya Curry, writes our weekly newsletters that provide coaching to our Rise 53 Inner Circle participants. And so today what I want to do is I want to give you insight into this week's coaching message. And in fact, during the whole month of October 2025, we are diving into humility and speaking up and knowing the difference between humility and fear. So I want to share this to you and I'm going to read this to you, that fear dressed up as humility will keep you small, unseen, and ineffective. So we've been conditioned, right, to believe that humble means keeping your head down, and it doesn't. But the truth about humility, so I like to talk about the most humble person that I know, that I've studied, and it's Jesus. Jesus, I'm a Jesus follower. I don't call myself a Christian nationalist. I do not call myself necessarily a Christian according to the US terms, especially in 2025. I call myself a Jesus follower. Okay, so let's talk about Jesus, right? The most humble person that I know. And this is what, when I think about Jesus, what I think about the humblest leader who ever lived. He washed feet, he served without ego, he never put himself above anyone else, and yet he was not quiet, right? He preached to thousands, he corrected leaders, he told the truth boldly and publicly. That wasn't arrogance, that was his mission. So I want to share this with you because a lot of the corporate women that I work with have such a difficult time with putting forth the principles that they stand for and letting other people know about it. They've been conditioned year after year to not say a word, to allow companies to take advantage of them, that they will step into roles and often have 2 or 3 jobs and be proud of it and say, I can do it. I can do it because, yeah, you've been given this thing called estrogen, and it allows us to want to take care of all these things that really aren't valuable to you in the long run, because we really get taken advantage of a lot. And so I want to share this story with you all because this story is a little bit of a conflict. I had a client who we were working on getting her salary increased, and this is not uncommon. This is what I do with a number of my clients. And I will say that this client is like a lot of the clients that I've worked with. And I don't want to single her out or make it seem like I'm trying to violate her story or make it seem like I'm trying to belittle her story. Her story is very, very common to several of my clients. So let me put that reference to it, because as a result of me sharing the story, my client canceled me. And it's a good thing, because that client needed to find a different type of path to grow, because in our community, we're all about really owning our truth and making it seem known that where we stand. So, those little kind of disclaimers aside, what happened was we worked on the salary increase, and it was pretty a lot of work, substantiating our work, substantiating what we've done. This is, again, what we do with all of our clients. But she didn't want to share that she actually received this raise. She, along with several other clients, have said the same thing. Why? Because I didn't want to sound like you're bragging. I didn't want to be, stand out. Other people in my organization might want to get a raise. And apparently, there were some other reasons why she didn't want to say that. She didn't let me know about it. But what she did let me know was that. And as a result of that, it bought into the same stereotype that I see over and over and over with women. We don't want to talk about our wins. We don't share publicly how we're so good at what we do. We think that's bragging. We think we cannot share those things. And whatever other narratives are in your mind. Now, I'm going to just tell you, my husband, who is a financial advisor, he says, but Diana, people are funny about their money. They don't want to talk about their money. They want to keep it private. They don't want to share things. And I say, I know that has been the stereotypical way. And people will say, well, because I'm humble. Is it? Or is it because you have a fear that people will judge you? Or maybe you don't want other people knowing that you gave, because you definitely don't want other people coming to you to ask for money. Or is it because you just don't want to share? If you just don't want to share, then say that, right? And so I just know that we women talk about this thing called equity. We say that we are in a position where we have to close the equity gap. It's going to take 136 years for us to close the equity gap. Well, in our community, in our Rise Advocates community, we are all about closing equity gaps, our own, and then helping others do the same. I say that my personal story is personal. I don't want to let anybody know about it. Why? I don't want people to judge me. I don't want people to have these opinions of me. But if I don't share my story, if I don't talk about what it was like for me before I got all this knowledge and learned and growed, I won't be able to help the people that were in the circumstance that I was in. And so my viewpoint is the same as Christ, that I am not doing this, and I'm going to quote scripture here, out of a selfish ambition and vain conceit. I am not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it to help others. And that is the whole difference between humility and non humility. There is an anchoring that we need to reference, right? One is, I'm just doing this because look at me, look at me. There's a difference between saying, I'm an expert, and look at, I'm so proud of what I've done. Look, this is great. There's just a fine line that we have got to agree that's there. And so when we do silence ourselves, as Yanaya writes here, we don't just shrink our own light, we rob others of the example that we set, which is why Jesus was so open in sharing. So here's the truth: humility is more about posture than it is value. You can be humble and visible. You can be humble and celebrated. You can be humble and bold enough to share your truth, period. Because When you do, you don't just honor yourself, you light the way for someone else to rise. It's just a beautiful thing. So, in our weekly newsletters that we do for our Rise 53 Inner Circle, what we do is we outline some coaching steps, and I want to give them to you today. So, here are 4 things I would like you to consider doing to help yourself distinguish between being humble and, of course, being in fear. So, here is the first thing that I would love for you to consider: check your intention. If you feel like I shouldn't say anything, then are you just trying to be arrogant, or are you actually trying to serve? Right? Are you actually trying to help other people? That is clear. For me, in writing my book, Inspiration in My Shoes, I had someone tell me, they said, it's this person, she was the bully in high school. She actually had the nerve to send me a private message on Facebook and tell me that I had the nerve to talk about the high school that we went to, and that you're just trying to get attention so that you can get more speaking engagements. And I'm like, wow, she's still bullying. And so, of course, I responded to that like, she doesn't know my intentions. And so I'm going to let her think what she wants to think. That has no relevance to me because I knew my intentions were right. Right. And so I just want you to know that checking your intention is the most important thing that you can do. So that is the first thing that I will share. And you need to ask yourself, are you shrinking to elevate yourself? Are you sharing to elevate yourself or to elevate a lesson, a cause, or the people around you? Such a great, great way to know the difference. Number 2, tell the story in service. And I always tell people, when I share a story or if I'm trying to sell something, it is a disservice to me and to others if I don't sell this to you. It's a disservice to me and to others if I don't share my story. And here is what Yanaya says. She said, instead of look what I did, reframe to here's what I learned, or here's what's possible. So if you don't want to say, oh, look at what I did, right? You can say, look at what I learned, how I grew, what were the messages that came out of that? It's just such a different frame. Third, lift others as you share. One of the things that I consistently give credit to are the people that helped me rise. In the front of my book, I acknowledge the people that were this one unselfishly gave me opportunities. They gave me the opportunity to apply for a position, or they promoted me. They said, we want to invest in you. I am giving people those props. I give attention to my father. Even though my father was abusive, my father actually taught me some things. And I was able to forgive him, but I was able to also give him credit where it was due, but then dismiss some of the negative things along the way. So when you lift others as you rise, you remove this like fear. So these are just such great principles for you to consider. And the last thing is practice small wins first. Share one thing this week, right? A lesson learned, a win achieved, or a truth you've been holding back. Notice the impact it has on others. You see, a lot of times we don't want to share things that, because none of us were taught how to be authentic. None of us were taught how to be vulnerable, but it is the very thing that causes people to lean in. And so I share all these things because it's critical for you to know the difference, especially in 2025. If you want to change a generational curse that's within your family, one of the best things that you can do is share. If you want to help and serve mentoring other people, stop teaching them about the ineffective, and I often say ineffective things that you can learn on ChatGPT about leadership. Talk to them about the way you lead. Talk to them about the lessons you've learned. Talk to them about what you have grown from and how it's a struggle to stay there. That is more effective in your ability to reach people. Talk about the things that you might be embarrassed about because you keep repeating these same habits. Talk about it. In 2025, we have this thing called artificial intelligence. We all know the how to get certain answers. Just ask. It's not that difficult. But not everybody has your story. And also, you are not being effective when you're living in fear. You're living in people might find out about me, right? That in and of itself is not humility. It is not. So we're not acting out of just vanity and um, being conceited and arrogant. I know that. And a lot of the women that come into the Rise Advocates community who want to be a part of our Rise Advocates movement, it's critical for us to remove that fear and to elevate ourselves because we're not doing this just for ourselves. The work we're doing within the Rise Advocates community will outlive our human existence. I am very clear and very specific about the work that we're doing and who it's for. Not everybody is ready for this work. And that is the reason why I gladly let the woman who felt she wanted to cancel the work is I gladly canceled it because she's not ready. And I think that she'll be ready for other things, just not this. And I know this. I know this. And it might take time, might be ready later. And that's fine too. But this work has to be moving along with women who are ready to step into this new level of rising, to soar like an eagle and to be a person like Christ, to stand up and say things that may not be popular. We know that in 2025, that with people that are going to agree, some people might try to take you out. And that is definitely the risk. But that's a risk I would love for all of us to take because it's rather we live by this and stand for a yes and a no than to be wishy washy and just be like, lukewarm, as they say in the scriptures. So if this is something that you feel like, I love what she's talking about, then you need to get with us. This is a very good group of women who are rising in all levels. And we would love to invite you into our Hotter at 53 events. We do them monthly. You can go to riseadvocatesacademy.com back, like the little backslash hotter 53. That's where you can come to an event, either virtually or in person. We are going to be going to various cities. That's one way to connect with us. Another way to connect with us is to just get onto our newsletter, and then we'll make certain we have a link in the caption for you to be able to do that. Lastly, we would love to invite you into our Rise 53 Inner Circle. There's various ways that you can get with us, but those are the three areas. The Rise 53 Inner Circle is where you get weekly coaching messages and you meet every single week. And it's just a great small group of women who are rising together. That's it, my friends. I just want to share that with you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next video.